All right, my friends, welcome back to the top 10 reasons having a great bookkeeper may lead you into embezzlement. We're going to talk with Cheryl Obermiller from Obermiller Construction in Missouri with reason number 4 here today. Now, before we get cracking, we have, if you want to buy Cheryl's book, we're going to have a discount code, which we'll share with you here in just a second. And we'll go in that here in just a second. But just keep in mind, she has a book called FraudPoints, and you should buy it if you're interested in this because it's chock full of reasons of how you could be taken advantage of by your great bookkeeper. So Cheryl, welcome back.
Thank you. How are you doing?
It's spring. Spring is sprung, and you know what they say: April showers bring May flowers. So we're supposed to be getting some rain down here today. But tell us about reason number 4.
All right. Reason number 4, you don't have an accurate, secure master list with all of your important passwords in it. You don't really know who has access to what. You're not sure you have all the passwords to get into your own accounts because you don't get into a lot of them. And so it's very insecure. Now, if your accountant is reconciling your bank accounts and handling credit card issues and things, they have access to all of those accounts. If you never get into them, you may not even know what the passwords are. And I have talked to other business owners who, once they discovered an embezzlement, found that they couldn't get into any of their accounts. Yeah. And I had some experience with that too. That was very, very difficult. I understand it's efficient. And my accountant, the lady who does my bookkeeping now, she has the logins, she balances the accounts, but I have all of them and I check them regularly. And so I would know if a password had been changed, if there was a problem with something. You have to remember that when you are not the person in charge of the passwords, that you have completely surrendered control of those financial accounts to somebody else. And that's a problem. You can't even say, well, but I look at the written statements, because written statements can easily be changed. Yeah. If you are not, and we'll talk about the mail again, we've talked about your mail before, but people don't realize how easy it is to get a bank statement out of the mail, scan it, Photoshop it, and give you an altered bank statement that you can't tell from the original. And if you think, in fact, I sent you an embezzlement case last week. Did you look at it? About Peregrine Investments in Iowa a few years ago.
Fake statements.
Yeah, and he wasn't just sending them to grandma.
I did look at that.
He was stealing money out of people's investment accounts. He wasn't quite Bernie Madoff, but I think wasn't it like $120 million?
Yeah, no, he got, and he was living large on people's money. And
and they were wiped out.
Even though he's guilty, those people don't get recourse. You see what I'm saying?
Well, they can't get the money back. And what he was doing, I mean, he was stealing the money, but he was taking the financial reports, scanning them, photoshopping them, and then submitting them to the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission. The people who monitor these things were fooled by photoshopped bank statements. So I promise you can be fooled by photoshopped bank statements too, because it's happened to the best of us. So
that literally happened. That guy was literally doing that. It's crazy. You're like, anyway, it's not. I remember.
And a lot of other accountants have done that. They will pull credit card statements or bank statements out of the mail and alter them. So again, the only really secure way to check your accounts is by looking at source documents, and you can't look at those documents if you don't have the passwords. Yep. Additionally, everybody in your office doesn't need every password. So you don't want to keep just a password list that everybody has access to. Maybe the lady who orders your office supplies needs passwords to several vendor accounts that you order from. And maybe she needs the password to the credit card that she uses so that she can make those transactions and then look and make sure they posted. But she doesn't need the passcodes to your payroll account or other things. So distributing passwords has to be done really mindfully And you need to have the complete control list so that, for instance, your accountant suddenly quits, gets fired, something happens, you need to have that list to be able to go in and immediately just go right down the list and change every password so that anyone that you don't want to have access to those accounts any longer can't get into them. I had, when my accountant had done this, she had changed the passwords because she told me everything I wanted to know, right? She showed me the reports. I was too busy to look at them. And then when she set up the security questions, you know what the security questions are. What was the name of your first dog?
Right.
What is your paternal grandmother's middle name?
Right.
I didn't know what her paternal grandmother's middle name was. And that was how they were all set up. It was very difficult for me. It wasn't, I had the ability to do it. It wasn't that I didn't have the information to send the credit card companies, and I was able to get into all my accounts, but it was very difficult. It was very time consuming, and it was just a nuisance. If I had had that list, I could have locked her out of everything immediately, changed all the passwords. And so you want to be really sure that you have control of that. Now, what I want you to do is what everybody needs to do is review your company, your password list. Who has passwords to what? Are there passwords to get into your accounting system? Are there passwords to open some kind of a secure area? Maybe you keep special equipment or supplies or something expensive and you've got a keypad on the door. If people have a code to deactivate your alarm system, if they have codes for credit cards, bank accounts, for whatever vendor accounts they buy from. I have people buy things from auto parts stores all the time, and it's difficult to always keep track of. But make sure that you know who has what passwords, and that can be as simple as writing it on a sheet of paper. John has access to O'Reilly Auto Parts and a couple of other things, and just stick it in his employee file so that when John gets mad and quits, hey, I need to call O'Reilly and say, this guy is a bad guy and he doesn't work here anymore. Don't let him buy any more car parts on my account. That's really critical for you to be able to do that. So look and see who has access to what and get that documented and under some control. Determine who needs access to which accounts, write that down, like I said, put it in their folder, and then you want to set up a secure repository for all of the passwords that you have control over. Now, I use a system called Keeper, and it's an encrypted password system. I'm not on their payroll. I don't do anything but pay them like $30 or $40 a year so I can access it on all my devices, but it works really well. There are a lot of systems like that, so you can have on your phone or someplace in your computer so that you are the only person with the master password, and then you can keep passcodes in that. There are a lot of different ways to keep that information secure now. So everybody needs to be sure and do that. I have been really surprised how many people who have been embezzled had the same issue. They didn't know who had passwords for what. It was terrible to go in and change the access to those things. And in my case, when I was going through Tammy's desk and clearing everything out, I found passwords to credit cards, bank accounts, things written on sticky notes and stuck on the computer screen or just inside of her desk. Anyone with access to her office could have found any of those passwords. And I wouldn't have known they were stealing because I wasn't monitoring the accounts. Tammy was. So
that's no different than just your personal stuff. I mean, that's, you would check your personal bank accounts online on a regular basis, your credit card. I mean, I check my credit cards on my phone every day, just make sure there's been no ill activity in there. And if you're not doing that through your business and you're just relying on your bookkeeper to do that, I mean, that's just opening up to a can of worms, man. No other way around that for sure. All right. So that's just pretty much common sense. But again, it's the common sense stuff that gets overlooked because people say, well, that's so obvious. Yeah, exactly. I mean, think about it. Like Cheryl had said one time last week on Think Like a Thief. A thief, they're like, water. They follow the path of least resistance, gravity, electricity. I mean, they're just going to follow the path of least resistance. So if you just open the door wide open and the thief just has a bad day one day, maybe the thief is upset with you because you, I don't know, you rooted for the, touchdown Tom Brady instead of Kansas City. And he's like, this is just a bad day. You got to have these kind of just nothing else, hurdles to make sure that the thief says, yeah, maybe I'm not going to break in that house because I hear dogs. Maybe I'll go next door.
Well, and keep in mind too, that I have 8 children, and someday I keep threatening to write a book and call it "What Being a Mother of 8 Taught Me About World Dominion," how to take over the world, and because you learn everything from being a mom. But here's the thing: if you tell your kid, no, you can't go out and play until your room is clean,
right,
and your child comes in and says, "My room is clean, can I please go now?" Then if they know you're really busy and you won't look, the room is probably not clean.
Yeah.
If they know that you will probably just walk down the hallway and glance in the door, then everything they don't want you to see will be behind the door. If they know that in the history of the world, you have never gotten down on all fours and looked under the bed, then it's going to be like that old Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout book. Remember that? And with the piles of garbage. All right, you missed Shel Silverstein. But you aren't going to investigate further until the smell from the bedroom is so bad that somebody has to figure it out. Your employees know what you will and will not look at. And so if they know, and I have a friend who runs a very successful, she works with marketing authors. She's a publicist for authors. And she had a terrible embezzlement. And her accountant had done exactly the same thing, and even told her when she tried to get in one day to the account, he said, "I will print off anything that you want. I keep passwords totally controlled, because that way no one can get in, no one can mess up an automatic payment or change a setting." And she trusted him so implicitly that was okay. Well, when he left, and when she caught him and got rid of him and finally proved to American Express that she was really the owner of the account, he'd been doing all sorts of stuff in there. And looking back on it, you feel foolish saying, how could I let this person do this? Well, remember, when we like people, we trust them, we have a relationship with them, then we will believe things like that. So control your passwords.
Let's talk about the FraudPoints discount that we're giving. So first and foremost, here is Cheryl's book on Amazon. And again, if you guys have Kindle Unlimited, which you should, it's free. You just download it, it's free. And I'll put links in the show notes. But you can buy it hardcover at $27.95, or you could go to this page right here, Cheryl Obermiller's. We'll put again links to the show notes, and you click to log in, and the password is heritagewealth, all one word. And
it's all lowercase. It is case sensitive.
Okay, right on. And then it'll take us to right here. All these links will be in the show notes and everything. And you can see FraudPoints right here. And so you can buy now. It'll be free shipping, and this will goop on until April 30th. All right, so you got about 3 weeks or so. Right here, contact Cheryl to book her for your company, association, or a consultation. This is good stuff, guys. So if you don't have to be a business owner, but if you're advising business owners, so I want to be very clear here, and I'll put links in the show notes here. You might not actually be a business owner, but you might be someone who advises a business owner. Maybe you're active in the Chamber of Commerce, for instance. Let's just put this. I was very active in our local Chamber of Commerce. It was and knew a lot about their investment committee policies, decisions. See what I'm saying? So don't just say, well, this doesn't apply to me. I guarantee it applies to someone who's in your sphere of influence for sure. And if
insurance salesman, if you handle any kind of business insurance for people, the more you can help your clients learn about fraud prevention, you do a great service, and you'll save yourself a tremendous amount of money, because people usually have some kind of coverage for theft or fraud.
Well, I was a small business banker too, Cheryl, and you're always trying to bring value to your clients. If your value is only the rate you can get versus the rate they can get at a local bank down the street, that no one cares about you. If you're bringing value that other people are not, something like this is huge. To say, hey, look, I'm doing small business loans for a local inventory of a dealer, for instance. You see what I'm saying? You say, hey, look, I noticed that you know, this guy I talked to a lot more than you. Do you ever thought about making, I mean, whatever, I don't care what it is. I'm just saying, don't sit there and say, oh, this doesn't apply to me. The hell it doesn't. If you're in any kind of your influence, this does. So get the discounts. And again, it's till April 30th. But if you got Kindle Unlimited, just freaking download the book and read it. I think you'll find a lot.
And if you would like, if somebody would like to contact me about setting up a private class or talk of some kind for, maybe you're bringing on new banking clients, or you want, this is information you want your insurance customers to see, just reach out and we'll talk about how we can set it up.
Perfect. Now I'll put links in the show notes. So, all right. So hang tight. We're going to go to part 5 here. And Cheryl will have her own YouTube channel coming up shortly as well. So hang tight.